How's it going, everyone? Bo here from BZHub, joined by Prince Oslo, of course. At least not for long. Let's face it, Fishing Planet is free, it's fun, but it's difficult when you're first starting out. When I first started out, everyone was asking me to start a guide series, and I did not know enough about the game to do a guide series at that point, so I started a beginner series, which I recommend. It's hilarious, and I was learning the game just like you are right now, and I compress it all into a short video for you to watch so that you can learn from my mistakes. I think it's hilarious. But the time has come for us to start doing a guide series, and we're going to be starting at square one. Lone Star Lake, everyone. But if at any point during this whole guide series, if you're ever wanting to know more about setting up a specific rod, or perhaps chasing down a monster fish, feel free to check out some of our other videos in this playlist as well as on the rest of the channel so that your question gets answered. If you enjoy real life fishing, maybe check out some of those videos while you're in our playlist. But with that all out of the way, hit the like button. And let's get into it, everyone. Lone Star Lake in 10 minutes or less. Here we are. Now, I will say that a lot of this stuff is going to be thrown in just because this is the beginning map, so I'm assuming you're a new player to this game, which is fantastic. You should have completed the tutorial, and now you're looking at this thing, which is the globe, which shows everywhere that you can fish on planet Earth, whether it be in South America or Europe or North America. Lots of fun places to potentially fish at, but here we are at Lone Star Lake down in Texas. Over on the left side here, you can see the weather forecast is going to be partly cloudy, and it's going to be good fishing in the morning as well as in the evening. If we go down to fish species, and this carries over to every map here, go down to fish species, you can see all of the fish that we are likely to catch here at Lone Star Lake, as well as how big they get, and that is something to always remember. So we're going to be targeting young channel catfish, common grass pickerel, common red ear, common bluegill, up to common smallmouth buffalo, and common spotted bass. But we do have an opportunity to catch trophy white crappie as well as trophy bluegill and stuff like that, so that should be pretty fun. A couple of other things we're going to be covering are licenses, your rod setup at this level, as well as the premium deals that you can get to make the game go by a little bit quicker. First off, right above my head, you should see licenses. Now, I have an unlimited advanced Texas license, and this is something I always recommend because Lone Star Lake is basically like your home base. It's free to travel there, and when you got an unlimited license, it's free to fish there. You can see this basic Texas license. You have to release all the spotted bass that you catch, as well as trophy red ear sunfish and trophy bluegill, which isn't good. You want to keep those fish. They're like $100 a piece, so you want to make sure that you can keep them and keep that money. Now, as we go over to the shop here and go to licenses, you should be able to see that a one-day pass to a basic Texas license is $100, and this is 1 day in real life, so 24 hours. You can fish as many days as you want to in this 24-hour period, but that's just kind of how it works. It's also $200 to get the advanced Texas license, but as you complete missions and get achievements unlocked and stuff, you will gain bait coins, and this is when I recommend to get that 7 bait coin unlimited pass to the Texas area, because if you ever need $100 or a couple $100 to buy something, first off, traveling to Lone Star is free, remind you, so that you can go there for free, and then if you have the unlimited thing, then you can just fish for free as well. So it's free to just go there and make a couple $100. I know that in some live streams we've spent a half hour there and made a quick $1,500, and we're ready to move on to another area. So I always recommend this advanced Texas license. It's a really good gig. Now let's get into our gear at this point. So at level 1, you should have this Telefloat 14'9". Fantastic rod, isn't it? And the Mini Spin 800. So we have a 2.75 pound stuff. Not too great, but we do have 2-pound line on here, as well as a slim bobber. We have a number 6 hook at the moment, as well as some bloodworms. And this bait is honestly chosen because of the fish that we're going to be targeting. So that's going to be pretty big there. Now, as you progress, as you're catching more fish, another thing you should be looking at level 3 is a spinning rod setup, and the first spinning rod setup you can get at level 3 is this Value Spin 6'3", as well as the Mini Spin 1200. This is going to allow you to have 3-pound line on here, as well as these little 6-ounce number 2 hooks of the spoons, the gold and silver spoons, the casting spoons, which is going to allow you to go after more pickerel, as well as some spotted bass and maybe a trophy crappie, which is all big bucks, everyone. So that's something to remember. Also at level 3, you unlock your first feeder rod, which is kind of the beginning way of you throwing out a sinker and trying to get fish that are more along the bottom, like a catfish or a drum or something like that. So this is something that's that is very handy to remember. So at level 3, like I said, you can get the Creek Pro 7'10", which is a 6.5 pound rod, as well as the Minispin 1200, again 3.4, which allows us to use 3 pound line. And we have a 1/2 ounce sinker on here with a 2.6 pound mono leader, as well as a number 4 hook. We also have some cheese that you unlock at level 3, as well as one of these simple bells. Now you can get all of this stuff in the shop, not too hard. Another thing I recommend is at level 6 you get this slingshot mono rod stand, which allows you to throw out your bottom feeder rod, which has your sinker and your cheese on it, and put it in this little stand here, and then you can just wait for a fish to bite, and your bell will ring when you have a nibble or something like that, which is awesome, because then you can be fishing for bass on the side, and you can also be waiting for a catfish to bite your rod on the stand. Another thing you should know is how premium memberships work. Now you can see premium memberships, very expensive. $60 for 360 days, that's 1 year for $60. What I always recommend you do is, if you have some patience, or if you're just around this time of the year, on Black Friday every single year, they half all of these. So you can get 360 days of premium membership for $30, which means that if you can complete the game or get to the highest level in 1 year's time, then that's a $30 game basically. You just spent $30 on an awesome fishing game and you completed everything, which is just fantastic. So if you're ever looking to buy a pack or buy anything like that, I always recommend, don't worry about packs of buying rods and stuff like that. You can unlock all of that stuff just by playing the game. But the premium membership is going to make it a lot easier for you to unlock those things. So with that foundation down, let's go to Lone Star Lake now and we'll start fishing, just so we can show you how to do this stuff. I am going to go over to this little bridge section over here, as well as play in a private room, just so we can have some peace and quiet. All right, we're now at Lone Star Lake, ready to start doing some fishing. A few settings I would recommend that will just go ahead and do them. You'll thank me later. But this bite indicator visibility, that is what is going to, you're going to hear my bobber ding whenever we have a fish interested in our lure. Now you can turn this off if you want it to be more realistic, but otherwise, if you ever have a nibble or anything like that, your bobber will ding, and that'll let you know that you have something that's interested in your bait. The other thing you should know is this player model's in close range. When it's turned on, if any player goes in front of you to like start fishing, you're gonna see them. It's gonna be super annoying. You can turn this off, and that way if anyone ever gets close to you, or they might be in the way and kind of hinder your visibility, they'll disappear, and then they won't be in the way anymore, which is fantastic. You can also change your bobber size down here to big or medium. I like to keep it realistic and just keep it the small size, as well as the simple and pro style of tackle indicator. And this is going to show you when you catch a fish what is being stressed out, your line, your rod, or your reel, which you don't have to necessarily know too much about early on, but later on it will be helpful. Now, you can see that your guy is carrying your rod and the end of your line so that you can flick it out like so. This is gonna work for most of the time as you're starting out, but if you want to have a little more ability to throw it wherever you want, you can hit F11 on your keyboard or whatever it is on console, and this is going to allow you to right click and choose a specific spot. So if you want to aim for right in between that little crease of lily pads right there, you can hit that in the middle of the meter there as you're casting out. And then what I recommend is you can hit the Z button on your keyboard to zoom in and watch your bobber. I don't know what that is on console either, but if someone knows both of those keys, say it down in the comments so you can help out your fellow player. Ooh, and we just went under right there. We have a little red ear sunfish, I'm thinking. Yeah, trophy red ear sunfish. So, like I had mentioned before, if you didn't have that advanced Texas license, you would unfortunately have to release this dude back into the water. It's like $1,000 fine if you don't do this. So it's really a good deal if you keep that, because if you would have spent $200 to get the advanced license, you would have just made $100 of it back right now. So there you go. So we're gonna keep this dude, and that's fantastic. That's $100 in the bank, and you have to be thinking, if you're level 1 and and you're catching these fish and leveling up. As you get to $1,500, you can actually buy this value spin rod, and then if you get another $1,400, then you can unlock the reel, and then at that point you're pretty much ready to go bass fishing. So here's our bass fishing setup. We have our little value spin, and we can throw it a lot further than we can that telefloat. It is partly cloudy outside, so we're going to be using a gold spoon. I always say that if it's partly cloudy outside, you should be using something really bright, really vibrant colors, or perhaps this casting spoon, versus if it's sunny outside, use a silver casting spoon, or maybe a really dark lure like a black lure or something like that. Let's give this gold casting spoon a throw towards these fish jumping over here, and what we're going to do at this point is there's lots of different retrieves you can try out, but a simple one is simply by holding the right click on your mouse and then just periodically reeling in with your left button, and look at that, we already have a fish on. I don't know what it is though. A crappie? Is it a little bluegill? A little crappie? It is a little crappie. There you go. First little crappie, $27. Not bad. We'll have to target something a little bit bigger though. Let's keep going. Working that twitch. And you can see those 3 little bobbles there. That is showing you how good of a job you're doing reeling in. Now it just disappeared there, and that means that a fish had just hit my lure and didn't get hooked up, but it did interrupt my retrieve. So all of a sudden the retrieve went down to 0. But we're just gonna keep it up, and as long as you can keep those 3 bobbles there, then you're doing a pretty good job. But you're not always going to get a fish on your cast, and if you're not getting a fish, then try a different location. And if you're not getting a fish at that point, then you need to try a different lure. And if you're not getting anything on that lure, then you need to change up your retrieve. That's fishing for you. Whoa, got a fish on right at the end there. He's pulling us out too. That's right on. Ooh, it's a bass actually. How about that? Our first spotted bass, everyone. That's awesome. So there you go, $163 in the bank. If you wouldn't have had that advanced license, that's $163 you would have missed out on. But there you go, our first bass, everyone. That's awesome. So there you go, we can keep that dude, and that's fantastic. So as you can see, as you keep catching more bass, you're going to be making more money. You're going to be making, getting more experience to get that level up to unlock new places to go fish at. Another important thing to remember is that if you press the M button, you can see your map. You can see where the deepest portions of the lake are. This big old pad over here, as well as this really deep part over here along the fence. So that's really cool. We can throw out our feeder rod in that direction and maybe get a catfish, everyone. Let's go ahead and try it. So we have this. This is a stake, so we're unfortunately going to have to put it in the ground, and it won't work on our wood. Later on, you'll get rod stands that you can put in wood, which is just fine. Obviously, you'll just set it on top. But here we go. Let's throw out our feeder rod. I'm just going to aim for the middle of the lake there. Hopefully, we get something. I have a bell on here, which will indicate to us when a fish is interested. And kerplop in the middle of that. We're gonna throw it down on our rod stand, and now we're just gonna keep fishing for bass. I think I'm gonna try stop and go this time around, which is basically just reeling up and then letting the lure drop down a little bit. See right there, we got a 3 bobble stop and go. Oh, we got a nibble. Ooh, listen to that. I'm gonna reel this in real quick and then come back over here. Yeah, but we got a fish on. I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna increase our drag a little bit. It's 120 feet out at the moment. Let's reel this puppy in. We can actually walk along the side of the pond to make it a little bit easier, a little bit shorter way to reel him in. Keep on working him over here. There we go! Our first channel catfish! Look at that guy! That's awesome. I love channel cat. I grew up in Kansas my entire life, and I love fishing for channel cat. They're so much fun. 50 bucks there, a little pound. That ought to work. 14 XP for me, probably more for you, who knows. But yeah, that's awesome. So there you go, everyone. Little bit of telefloat fishing, little bit of bass fishing, as well as this feeder rod. Now, obviously, this is all level 1 and 3, so you can unlock this bass setup at level 3. You can unlock this feeder rod setup at level 3, the Creek Pro 7'10" there, and this telefloat is just what you start out with. So this is all below level 3 Lone Star Lake. A good way to start out. And another thing I can recommend is just don't sell your stuff. There's no reason to. And unless you're running out of room in your locker or something like that, Don't worry about it. Keep it on hand in case you ever want to come back and fish for things. It is nice to have this small little setup. Plus, the small little fish, they stay small no matter where you go. You may be in Alaska and you're still going to be fishing for little fish like this, where this telefloat rod can come in handy. But that's going to do it, everyone. As you keep leveling up, you can throw on dough balls onto this telefloat rod and go after roaches and shiners, or you can throw on semolina balls or something similar onto your bottom rod and go for a buffalo or maybe a carp even. That would be pretty fun. But that's going to do it for Lone Star Lake. I hope this was helpful. If it was, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below about what you think about Lone Star Lake, as well as anything that you find interesting. Tell me about the weather where you are. I always like to hear how many people have made it to the end of the video, so tell me about how the weather is right now. It's a little snowy in Kansas, but everything's starting to melt. But that's gonna do it. If you ever have any questions, we're live streaming on YouTube Monday, Wednesday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central. Hope to see you there. Take care, stay safe, and as always, remember everyone, we're one planet, one family, game on.